I'm going to talk about ISIS, specifically how it was formed and why it was formed. ISIS was formed by prisoners during the Iraq War, which occurred during the Bush administration. And I know this because one of the generals said that that's how it was formed, So what he said is that the prisoners in the prison camps, they had prison camps where they would be out in the desert and they would basically put barbed wire in a giant square, and they would have a few hundred prisoners inside the camp, and maybe they were all wearing orange jumpsuits or something like that. And he said that all those prisoners started forming the radical Islamic notion and the desire for the Islamic State. The other reason why is because these are Sunni Muslims. They're not Shiite Muslims. The Shiite Muslims are the minority Muslims, and they are the ones that believe in democracy. An example of a Shiite Muslim is Bashir al-Assad. They say, well, he's a minority Muslim in Syria, but he is a democratic Muslim. The Sunni Muslims are countries that are ruled by kings or religious leaders such as Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. The king of Jordan is a direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. He actually speaks English, and you can go on the internet and you can watch videos of him talking. He seems like a nice guy. So the Sunni Muslims believe that their leadership should not be democratically chosen, but they want kings and queens and religious figures to be the leaders. And their belief formed the caliphate and the ISIS state. One of the problems, like if you know that there's in the United States, you have the alt-left and the alt-right, you've got the radical groups in the United States, they're a radical group. And one of the issues that you have is that you've got a lot of Sunni Muslims that in general have similar ideals as ISIS did, even though they're not militaristic. And they might not themselves force the overthrow of a foreign government, but they're not going to oppose it if it happens. So that's why ISIS was formed. And initially they were against the Shiite. They were against Shiite Muslims, and they killed Shiite Muslims. And of course they were against foreigners like Americans and things like that. And their policies did change because, for example, they said that Christians can remain within the territory they control as long as they pay a tax. A special foreigner tax or something like that. So you had, during the Bush administration, after 9/11, Congress almost unanimously voted to go to war with Iraq. And I was like, this is, I didn't like Saddam Hussein, and I knew that Iraq would be a better country without him, but I was just seeing disaster all over the place. At the time, I was one of the few people who was saying, this is not the wisest decision to go and do this, especially knowing that the American military, they know how to win the war, but that doesn't mean that they're going to do a good job after the war is over. Americans tend to do a lousy job after the war is over. They'll say things like, oh, we should let this country have self-determination. That you're just asking for civil war, and that's what happens when that it happened in Iraq and it happened in Syria. Civil war started because Americans destabilized the region, and then they left in a destabilized state. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments, please post below.